Okay. Hi, my name is Jenna. I'm sure it's just future me watching this. I don't anticipate many people finding this or watching or finding any of it interesting, but always worth a shot. And that's kind of, I guess, what I want to talk about today, why I'm recording a video in a tiny kitchen and speaking to a camera pretty relaxed, like there's no script. And the reason is because I decided I want to start vlogging my life and recording and making things related to it because I'm pretty much in my mid 20s and I realized that as someone who's not very artsy, I don't have a lot of these projects or moments I can look back on and say, oh, here's how I was feeling or what I was doing or what I thought like at this time of my life because they just don't exist. Like I have some diary entries here and there, but so many of my diary entries are not written in English. And as a result, I feel like the emotions are kind of portrayed different. The way I write is really different. The way I think, even, it can be different. And so I wanted to kind of have something as well for me to look back on later at my mid 20s and just reflect and enjoy my life as it was. Also, this is a good way for me to kind of live more in the moment. Specifically, like live in the moment and sit with my own emotions and thoughts about the world and what's happening around me and what I do with my life. So that's mainly why I want to start doing some of these vlogs and uploading them. It's just like a virtual diary and a way to freeze time in a moment. I'm a big believer that as people, we are all museums. Like to be a person, you are a museum of everything that happens to you in your life, all the people who are around you and all the things you see and the places you go and the ways you feel make up like who you are, and it's messy and imperfect. And I kind of want to capture that mess and imperfection within my own life through these videos. So that's what I'm doing here. Um, I guess I'll kind of start. Maybe I'll give like a mini tour of the kitchen. I'm not going to move the camera around because I'm packing and moving at the end of February. For context, it's the end of January right now, so I have 1 month left. But I'm pretty packed up and it's a mess off camera and outside of my kitchen. So we'll just kind of stick there. I right now live in a small apartment. It's probably 170 square feet, so it's quite small. If you're from the United States, that's going to sound very bizarre. I am from the Midwest, the United States, so it's even more bizarre to me because I'm very used to having huge, giant houses, or living in areas with huge, giant houses. My family was a little on the poorer side growing up for most of my childhood and now, so I'm quite used to small spaces shared with lots of people or just small spaces in general. That said, it can be shocking. I don't live in the US, so it's pretty normal. Like, I live in what's considered a small apartment, like studio apartment, but not crazy small. There are smaller apartments, and I'm lucky. It has like a kitchen, I have a sink, I have a stovetop, I have storage, I have a fridge, I have a microwave. There's no oven here. There are no ovens in most apartments here. Um, I've learned to make do. Or I don't have it yet, but I'm planning to buy like a small convection oven, or what is it called? Like countertop oven, microwave oven, maybe not a microwave, but the oven version of it. But I'm waiting till I move to my new apartment because I can survive without it. I don't actually eat a lot of food cooked in an oven. I just use ovens to bake. That's my hobby. So I'm just living without my hobby right now in this apartment. Um, that's kind of it. Nothing super exciting about me. I live a pretty normal life. I have a 9 to 5 job, or I go to work in the morning, I get done in the afternoon, before evening, really. I usually eat dinner at home or I go out with friends or coworkers, depending on like the mood and what people are feeling, whether it's a weekday or a weekend. I don't have a lot of crazy hobbies. I read a lot. I do some creative writing. And I like to cook a lot, but right now my kitchen is very sad because I'm moving and want to use all my staples up. So we'll get into my quick little kitchen tour, which is this. I have a stovetop with 2 stove options. I'm so glad you can't see because I need to clean it right now. That's okay, it's survivable. I have, of course, pepper, salt. I have soy sauce. And of course, olive oil. So all the basics you need to make something delicious like fried rice or pasta. And then I've got, cutting board, some utensils, some wet wipes for cleaning spilled food right away. My actual cleaning supplies are under the sink, so I'm not showing you that. You don't need to see under the sink. I have my instant coffee, which is because I don't own a coffee machine. I am a coffee snob. I worked as a barista in university and for a while post-graduation before getting a full-time job. And I really like fancy espresso and good lattes and Americanos, but I refuse to buy a espresso machine or coffee machine that's nicer until I move to my more permanent apartment. This one is like a small apartment that's just kind of in the meantime. I've been working here in this country for over a year, but I've just been in like a smaller apartment, but I saved some money up for a deposit on a much nicer, larger apartment and one that has an actual bedroom, like a 1-bedroom apartment with a living room separate. And I'm really looking forward to it. So like, I'm trying to not buy too many things until I'm in an apartment where I know I'm staying more long term, which will be quite lovely. I have an unfinished ramen seasoning packet because it's really salty and it hurts me to eat super salty food. So I used half of it and then I'll use the other half in like a pasta dish I'm making later this week. I have some delicious peppermint chamomile tea, loose leaf, and it's in a really pretty jar, so it's kind of decoration. I've got a bunch of these containers. I have some multivitamins that are above the sink. Don't ask why they're above the sink and nowhere else. I don't really know. I have storage space. I just put them there and haven't moved them. You can kind of see I have a fridge and a microwave as well over here. There's a shopping bag on top of the microwave. It has my new shampoo because I ran out and unfortunately can't survive without it for another month. And then I've got this drawer, which is filled with, of course, ramen. I've got jin ramen because I am a strong believer that jin ramen tastes better than shin ramen, but maybe that's just because in university I only ate jin ramen and my roommate who introduced it to me was a big jin ramen proponent over shin ramen. I also have burdak, the regular spicy, and then I have the carbonara burdak. I like the spicier one more. I usually add like garlic and eggs to it, but the carbonara is good when I want to add cheese. So, kind of nice. I add bacon to it as well to make like a bacon carbonara. It's not real carbonara, but it tastes good. I have Cheez-Its. I have bacon and cheddar Cheez-Its, which I didn't know those were a thing. I was so excited to discover those. Then I have, pasta, rice pasta. I have chia seeds because I really like chia pudding. I have protein powder, green tea protein powder, because I use it to bake pancakes. And I don't really like or eat meat, so I need ways to get my protein in, and protein powder is a good way for me to get enough protein when I don't feel like just eating straight eggs with more egg whites mixed in. I also have a protein bar. It's like a peanut butter chocolate flavor. I really like this brand. It's not actually that high protein, so it's not like a super big thing for you, but I'm not a huge candy person, but sometimes I'm hit by this sweet urge for a sweet treat, and this tastes really good with ice cream, so that's why I have them. And then I can kind of tell myself, like, I know you don't need to eat healthy food, but it makes me like, I don't know, I just feel more satisfied when there's extra protein in like an ice cream snack. And I also have pepperoncini whole that I use for making pasta. I really like spice, so I use it quite a bit. And then this drawer is not that exciting. It has like plates and Tupperware. I don't have real Tupperware or storage. I use empty yogurt containers and other food containers because I don't know why. That's just how I was raised. Once again, my family was pretty poor. That's what we always did for extra food and stuff. We never really threw those away, so I also just keep and use them. Anyway, that's kind of it for the first video. Future Jenna, I hope you had a good wave of nostalgia looking back at the apartment you were living in. Talk to you later.